Welcome back to the podcast. We are going into week 2, talking to some of our best friends, Drew and Kyndle Cottrell. Take a listen to the conversation as we talk about technology and legacy. Check it out.
This is the Unleash Your Purpose podcast.
Can we talk about phones? Like, I know that, so at your house, like your kids, obviously your older ones probably got them a little bit later, but like when they have friends that have phones, do you have like a put your phone in the basket, be present with each other, or is it just so fun that kids are just not on their phones?
We've done all of the above. Mm-hmm. And I just want to it's funny because talking about electronics is probably one of the most uncomfortable things that we do with other parents because it's kind of a touchy subject.
Yeah, it is.
Because we all are really judging ourselves right now because nobody knows what they're doing. Right. And so everybody's feeling very heightened and very
if someone's
aware that
doing
we're
something
probably not
more
doing it
strict
right.
than I am, then they're like they've already judged themselves.
Yes.
And so they feel judged by you just
having done it different.
Like I'm answering your question, but you probably aren't going to like what I have
So
to
I'm
say.
just saying to all of your guys' viewers, like this is over so many years of navigating it and us being on the outside. I mean, it has created other problems for us, you know, and it's like pretty much picking your poison, picking your problem, you know, of that. But yeah, so I would say, you know, for Charlie Mae and James, I did do the whole basket thing. I haven't had to do that with Lane and her friends. And,
what are your general rules and guidelines that have worked for you guys?
So our kids don't get a phone until they're driving.
Yep.
And then when they do, but they do get an Apple Watch and it only has, and so I dictate who's on it. So they can't have any friends on it. They can have friends' parents. Yeah. You know, like we have a couple of neighborhood friends that, you know, they'll do pickups and stuff like that. She needs to, and so it has a couple of those, but it has pretty much just family. Yeah. It has 911 and it has stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love you.
The main purpose being that, you know, with how busy we run lives, it is valuable to have a way to communicate. To communicate.
Absolutely.
Like, pick up, drop off, practice ended early, whatever the thing is. Like,
yes.
Okay.
But they never have them because there's not one game on it. They do not have internet on it. It has no capability of Safari. So it is literally for texting and that's it.
Phone calls. Timer.
Phone calls. Yeah. They don't even have their calendar on it.
Yeah.
And then when they turn 16, they get a phone and it is the same thing.
Yeah.
It is, but they're able to get, their school email, not a private email. There's no capacity for internet. So you still have to use the computer for all internet searching and all that stuff. There's not any like even dink-a-da-dink games.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever those like pool games on text and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then they get a couple of people, a couple of their friends, you know, maybe I'll put a coach.
So you're kind of really, as you're evaluating who is contacting, you're aware.
Yeah.
You're very intentional with that.
And I would say that my motivation is not keeping them from communicating with people.
Right.
My motivation is not trying to keep the bad people out.
Yeah.
My motivation, and I think that that's the part that has been a very different than what I see other people. It's like people making choices on like private school, Christian private school, or not Christian private school. My motivation is not to keep them away. So our daughter, we were going to go to private school with you guys.
Yeah.
And our daughter, we ended up doing a public school. And it had everything to do with the community. Then it had to do, and their ability to grow and all these things. For the phone, it's not to keep them from talking to a boy.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the times suck and the ability for their brains to grow the way that has happened the past 5,000 years.
Yeah.
And trying to protect that for them as long as possible. Our viewpoint is that you will die with a phone. Nowadays, you will die with a phone.
Yeah.
You're 80 years old, you're 92 years old, you'll still have a phone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you as much, and this is new. So I'm going to give you as much time as possible without it that I can. And I will suffer for it.
Yeah.
My life suffers for it. Where's my phone?
Yeah. I was going to say, you probably have thousands of text messages.
I will show you. I do have thousands of not emails. I have thousands of emails,
and
like
all from different people.
Yeah.
But they're like different kids or different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I do, and so my kids using my phone so much means that my relationships suffer. You know that.
Yeah.
You know, like you're one of my most gracious friends. My adult relationships suffer, but I am more stubborn than my children. I am more stubborn than society. That for some reason, this is what makes sense to, and I don't have the strength to do it, but I have like the will to do it. Like I feel like God gave us this vision of it's possible.
Yeah.
And, but you will suffer for it. And I mean,
And what I love is that we get to watch the fruit, because I know your 2 older kids and watching them thrive,
They're cute,
watching
right?
them so cute,
So cute.
so cute, positive,
Happy,
love to just are helpful, can talk to adults in ways that
Strangers.
and be like gracious and funny and storytell and helpful with younger kids. That is not like, you don't see that maybe 5,000 years ago, but this is the old way that needs to become the way.
yeah.
I've seen it. I mean, it's truly with your kids as well. The ability to engage, look someone in the eye, and have a conversation is really rare. I mean, especially watching the older your kids get, right? You start to engage with high schoolers that you're like, clearly by now they should have the skills and capacity. I don't care how shy you are, to still be able to have a conversation, a very simple introductory conversation,
Eye to eye.
And so many kids don't. And we do believe, right, that like the phone is one of the most anti-community things. Tools that have come into this day and age, right?
Exactly.
That like you don't get time to do all the above. So by removing the phone, it allows for the space of the rest of community to exist, for your ability to engage in person, because you have the time, or you're forced to have the space, or whatever, you know, that.
Well, and our kids, they did suffer for it. You know, there was, Charlie May was the trailblazer, right?
Yeah.
So she enters high school, doesn't know a soul. It starts swimming, and, there's all the text threads and all the stuff, and people start getting whiffs of, you don't have a phone. Everybody get out your phone in class, and I don't have a phone, and it's just, and the consistency of she was alone in it. James.
Which is crazy, because that was not that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not that old.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
And James, he had an opportunity to be a captain of a team, and because he had been voted in. And then they find out he doesn't have a phone. Well, one of the criterias are for him to send texts out to the team. Well, now he can't. So Mom, that will look good on my resume. Like, I need that for getting into college, like all these things.
Right.
And that was probably the hardest, there was a couple of really hard moments. That was one of those. And it was, we prayed and we were like, this is before we put kids through college. So they were all like 4-point somethings, grade point averages, had so much community work, the whole scholarship thing. You should have a podcast on that.
Oh yeah.
Getting into college and what that looks like. And so before we knew what we know now about getting into college, so we're going, we really could be harming you for the future. But I feel so, we felt so convicted that we were giving him more than we were taking from him.
Yes.
And there is nothing in our parenting that wouldn't have been easier by us just saying yes.
Yeah. Right.
We had good kids. We're not worried about them, sending such and
Pics.
such pics.
Pictures. Right.
We weren't like, I have nothing, I have no fear in that.
Yeah.
But just felt really, really called that like I was going to give them more by not giving them that.
And I guarantee your kids are thanking you now.
Well,
and now they're actually ahead of the pack compared to all of their peers.
Well,
they will be more employable. They will get higher pay. They will be able to take risks and go try out and start that business. They're willing to go talk to a possible boyfriend or girlfriend where I mean, boys nowadays can't even make eye contact and are single till they're 28, living in the basement with their.
Well, it happened actually really quickly. Now both of them are in college, and we made both of them get Instagram when they entered college. That was their first, and that was
that's kind of our rule too.
Congratulations!
You graduated high school, you get social media.
Well, they needed it. It's Anyways, but it happened and now so they're in college, and they are saying like, this is what we're doing with our kids, and they're already saying that they don't even have spouses. But it happened before that. It was for Charlie May. She wasn't part of all the drama. Yeah. And so she became this safe place for all these girls, right? So all this stuff is happening over text. All this stuff is happening over Snap. All this stuff is happening over. And she was never part of that drama. So then she was safe.
Right.
And like,
people to talk to.
You're just kind. You're just this, like you can. And she ended up being everybody's confidant and like safe friend. Yeah. James, I think it was very similar. I think for him, it was more like he had to own it, or he would look dumb. So he was like, I don't want it, And then everybody's like, why are you so cool? Like, why? How? And
because every kid's trying to be different now.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is the way to be different.
That's right.
And it really was. So we didn't even have to wait long. It was suffer for a couple of years though.
Yeah, for sure.
And like Lane is definitely experiencing that. She got to see her older siblings go through it.
Yeah.
And so she does not question it like the other two did. And she questions everything else in life.
Yes.
But this one, she's like, she owns it a lot more. Like she has a lot more peace about it. She knows it's not going to be forever.
She's like, they never could budge.
That's right.
Parents.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm not gonna push on this one.
The child's version of picking your battles, right? She's like, all right,
not gonna win that one.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the things that I just commend you on, and would just encourage parents to say, explore that. Read Anxious Generation. Look at what I say. You need to look at what you desire for your kids and your family. Look at those families that you see these kids. You're like, oh, yeah, and I want that.
I heard on a podcast recently, someone had like broken up with her boyfriend, and they were together a while, but they didn't even they were gearing towards that marriage part, and they could not agree on like homeschool or something, what it was. And he was like, I just want to have normal kids. And she was like, I don't. Like, I want them to be anything but normal. Look at the normal culture today. It's very ugly.
Yeah.
It's very
so
lonely.
like, actually,
Lonely.
I would rather them stand out and be the weird kid, the kid that owns like not having the phone, because it's like attractive. Like something else is different. You don't look like everyone. And I think that's attractive.
Yeah, it is. Since 2010, they have seen teenage anxiety, depression, self-harm explode.
Yeah.
And then the amount of social interactions, the deep confidence. Your kids are an anomaly. They have kids that come to you and like they're someone that they could confide in. This is not normal. Now the confidant is this. It's the phone. Right. And they're more lonely than ever before.
Yeah.
Like this is I mean, I'll say it, this is like destroying our kids.
Yeah.
Sure. This is destroying our kids.
Sure.
And the more you can fight against it, because they're going to have it. You're right. They'll have it when they die. But guard their brain right now. And their development right now.
Yeah. Right.
What, 2 questions left for you. Like what's the vision for your guys' family? What do you guys see like when you guys are looking towards the future? Do you have a picture of that? Like, or what do you hope towards? And like,
when you're empty nesters, we'll say that. When you're empty nesters too.
Yeah. What does empty nesters even mean? Yeah.
Like, what does it look like when your kids
Are
don't
all-
live at home, but how are you still this Cottrell crew, of
There's
Yep.
there's 2 things I think that I could answer to that. First off is truly when I think of where our family goes, it is that I guess similarly, and both of our families have got their own issues, right? and some
They're
of the,
wonderful. They're lovely. They're very lovely.
Yes.
wonderful. That's right. And same thing. I want something different for our kids and our kids' kids. And I want this radical generational shift where it's not like, well, like when we had 5 kids, you've got 5 kids. That means one's going to blank, one's going to blank, one's going to blank. Like you're guaranteed to have, just based on percentages. I'm like, well, then unfortunately, some other family of 5 is going to have all of them because we're going to have none of those issues.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough for them.
That's our next thing that we're going like, everybody says this is how, this is the way, this is what happens. And going, no, it doesn't have to be true.
I mean, doing that.
That's right.
It doesn't have to.
Yeah. And so I think, one of those is that I don't think we're ever going to be empty nesters. I don't either.
We don't have a desire. Like our desire is not to house them or to like.
I'm getting her there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It is
not because everyone's
to provide for them,
constantly living with us and they never move out. No, they move out for sure. 18. If you're in my house, you're an inconvenience.
Okay, I don't know where we're going with this.
Come on. No, but we're always a space that they can come back to. A, B, we have parents that I think will continue to come and go into our home and our space. And, so this like multi-generational living thing, I think is going to continue. Yeah.
I think we are very passionate about that.
Yeah.
We don't have grandparents that are quite as willing. They really want their independence.
Yeah, you know who you are.
Mom.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, and our oldest is 21. By the time our youngest is out of the house, they're like, I think and I look forward to. We both are really excited about, and I do think God gives us a good picture of kind of what's coming in the future. I really don't believe there's going to be some like, well, there's nobody here. We get the RV and go visit the kids wherever that at.
That sounds horrible.
It's not.
To me.
Yeah.
It's not what we want. It's not what I see.
I want to have all the homes on the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
So and like every family has their own kitchen, but we can all kind of come together for like these family meals. Not every day, but like you still
I think it should be a communal kitchen right in the center. That's a real thing.
Did you ever go through, you guys aren't much of TV watchers, but did you ever see the Parenthood series? Parenthood?
No.
Was it Parenthood?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like always the meal out back, like the huge long table of gathering everyone.
There's this community in like Costa Rica and everybody has their own huts. And then there's a communal kitchen. So you can make your own meal, but you have to go to the communal kitchen for it. And I think that's, I mean, if I could dream that big, I'm like,
I dream that big.
Let's do it.
Community, like family compound. My mom, like, because we want to always have a house that my mom could go and live in. And like, we're like having these multi-generational, like
my mom and
spaces.
her husband.
Well, yes. And you, John, I'm talking about like,
I know, it just
long
sounds funny.
ways away. We're different ages.
They probably cut that out, David. But yes, a communal property.
Yes, or like the compound style.
Yeah.
Like the old-fashioned big compound. My mom makes fun of us because I always say, Mom, I want to have a compound. And like our ranch kind of has that, like 3 houses all together.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Picture of what it could be.
Yeah, I think,
but they need to be independent, go off on their own.
Yeah.
But also like today's world, it's going to be more and more challenging for kids to just go off and like the American dream of just going off, having your own house, doing your own thing, being 100% independent.
Yeah, you can't afford anything.
I don't know if that's one. I would argue it's not biblical, but also not ideal.
Sure.
And less and less realistic nowadays.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I think that there's a lot of data, or at least I've been hearing stuff, so don't quote me on it, but it's like families going off and having separate mortgages, separate electric bills, separate this, separate that is actually the biggest division of wealth or divisor of wealth. And it's like, so I think I would love all of our kids to live, in close vicinity. I want all of our kids to want to be best friends. Like, I'm marrying this person because you all said that we love this person. Like that there is that mentality.
Yeah. You want input from your siblings and parents. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. And I want we want to build a company that, they would all want to come back to, that they can have their own ways that they can incorporate themselves and who their different identities are easily into. But it's the whole point is I want to build a family, continue to build a family that they want to come back to. And I feel like one of those things that people, when they hear that, might think that it's like, oh, well, you just give them candy all the time. You know, like you give them all the sweet, good stuff. You're paying for everything. You're doing this and stuff like that. But nobody actually, I think, deep down wants to live that way. Mm-hmm. You know, like the boundaries and like the health is what they'll come back for. Yeah. Because they'll know when they are super entitled and they're super all these things, they'll never feel satisfied near us. Yeah. Right. And that won't feel good to them. And it will create tension. It'll create all these things that then create separation, you know, but having these things that like are uncomfortable and harder, maybe at first, I do think in the end brings us back. Yeah. That's what they want to be near. We want to be near truth. We want to be near these like principles that are laid out in the Bible. Like they build things that are longer lasting, you know? So that's what I want. And I don't know exactly what that will look like for our family, but it's fun to like have hints of like a little trail we're supposed to be following. Mm-hmm. So like we're following little trails right now. Yeah. And just kind of like waiting and seeing what that looks like.
And I'm totally okay. Like I used to want the vision so clear. And I think so many people, when they're dreaming about the future, I need a very crystallized picture. And I don't think God always gives us that. Mm-hmm. I think he gives us trails, like you're saying, little pictures, and it's like a little bit fuzzy, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's like a paint by number. Yeah. I'm just going to do a few of these things and fill them in. And then as time goes on, fill in a little more. Like, it's going to be a beautiful picture, but you just don't see it all at the beginning. Yeah.
Right. You guys have such a beautiful vision. And I think that is the vision that we're fighting for as well.
That's why we're friends with you.
I know. It's true.
Last question I always ask guests is like, at the end of your life, what do you want to be remembered for? At the end of your life, you guys both passed away, like the movie The Notebook. You guys both died at the same time, holding hands in bed. It's gonna happen.
That's what Drew's whole desire is. Yeah. He's like, gets real angry. I'm like, we can't talk about our future because you won't talk about it unless we're dying the same day.
That's right. It's reasonable. I don't know why.
So what do you want? You have a huge celebration. It's a new part. It's a party, and they're celebrating you guys. What do they want? What do you want them to say? What are you going to remember for?
You know, I think if I'm to really think about it, it has nothing to do with anything we've done or anything we gave them, but a sense of when they think of us, they immediately think of their Heavenly Father. That's like, you know, I don't need a name that lasts in any book or any photo album, but that for as long as people can remember interactions with us, that there's this sense of the Father's love. I think that's my end of life deal.
So good.
It's a tissue. Yeah, that's really beautiful. I've never thought about it. I do. I want to just that's it.
Yeah.
I got the right answer.
You did. I mean, I could really dumb it down real quick right now.
Want I think I'm getting there too. But I wasn't there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was striving for something else. Mm-hmm. And I was anxious and pushing for success in ways. And I think at the end of it, it's like, no, it's that.
Yeah.
And it's like a very freeing place to be. Like, I want the Father to smile. I want them to see Jesus. And in my kids.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. Well, thank you guys. This was a super honor. And
such an honor.
You guys really like exemplify this journey, this vulnerability and transparency, and we have long futures together, so I'm grateful.
So let's have weird families together.
Yeah.
Yes.
How weird can we get?
How weird can we get?
How many of them can get married? I mean, that would do it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Thanks for joining us for the Unleash Your Purpose podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you next week.